Well, a big developing story that we are tracking. At least 11 MLAs of the Congress party have been put on a plane and have been moved out of Bhopal and are in Karnataka. This comes at a stage at which there have been several question marks on whether the Congress government in Madhya Pradesh will survive. There are also question marks on what the demands, if any, of these MLAs are. These leaders are seen to be close to the senior Congress leader, Jyotiraditya Scindia. So it's a developing situation and comes within a couple of days of several Congress MLAs from Madhya Pradesh being in a hotel where they were apparently whisked away, to being retrieved from that hotel, to the government becoming secure once again, to quite clearly the government in Madhya Pradesh, it would be fair to say, being fairly insecure at this juncture. Whether it lasts or not is a larger question. Well, we have a wonderful guest with us, Mr. Kapil Sibal, and he would answer certain questions on this. But I also want to set the context right for some of the other themes that we will discuss. One of the key issues that the Congress has been looking at is the delay in discussing the violence in northeast Delhi, in which more than 50 people have lost their lives. Will the government be successful in getting 7 Congress MPs disqualified for their protests against the delay in having a debate in Parliament? Is that really something that India needs? What about opposition unity, particularly at a time when so much has been said about the lack of decisive leadership within the Congress? Mr. Sibal with us. Great to have you, sir. This is really breaking news, you know. I mean, if you have 11 MLAs, and it's a fact because I've seen the passenger manifest on the aircraft move from Bhopal to Karnataka, would it be fair to say that your government may not survive an MP?
Well, I can't possibly say whether it will survive or not. But we've seen a pattern develop over the years. And this is really all money power. I mean, we saw that happening in Uttarakhand. We saw that happening in the Northeast. Earlier, we saw it in Goa and recently in Karnataka.
Right.
And now you have Madhya Pradesh and the previous episode in Madhya Pradesh. So I think the nature of politics has become such that those who have money power can exercise, and there will always be people who are unhappy within a system.
And so, I know it's developing, but you are personally convinced that this isn't the money of Congress leaders like Jyotiraditya Scindia?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I possibly can. I'm sure that the Congress is not behind all this. It makes no sense. But we've seen this happening at the instance of the BJP, chartering planes, putting people in hotels, keeping them secure, not allowing them to meet anybody. This is all to destabilize the polity of India. And it's going to lead us nowhere because the economy is a mess. We have the coronavirus crisis facing us, the Yes Bank crisis facing us, the aftermath of the Delhi riots. I think we've got too many things on the table, and I think it's not in the national interest.
But would you personally be disappointed with Jyotiraditya Scindia, whose name is certainly doing the rounds over here? These leaders apparently affiliated or close to him, and perhaps at his instance, having been flown across.
I think it would be very unfair of me to comment on any of this because I don't know the facts. And I think that when news like this flies around in the media, I think we need to be a little more circumspect.
What, in your mind, Mr. Sibal, happened between a couple of days back when the Congress appeared to have retrieved the situation? You managed to get most of those MLAs back. Some sort of safety in your government to now, to all of this developing. What's happened in the last few days?
Money power is a very persuasive source. And the BJP has been trying to destabilize most of the Congress governments. We've seen in Karnataka, you saw what happened. So this is the way they want to send a message that, look, if we can't do it legally, we'll do it in this particular fashion.
Right.
And they've done it in the past.
Now, you know, from
I think the only solution, I tell you, while we discuss all this, there is a solution to it, and the solution is to amend the 10th schedule.
Right.
And say anybody who sort of gets elected from a political party, wants to change political parties, one, will not be able to fight an election for the next 6 years or 5 years, right? And will not be able to hold any public office in the next 5 years. If that happens, if we amend the 10th schedule, none of this will ever happen.
Do you see the Congress party going to court? if these leaders do choose to cross over to the BJP, as is the speculation?
I think that in a developing situation, I cannot possibly say what we will do or what we won't do, because we don't know the facts yet.
So would it be fair for me to say that you're still optimistic that this is not going to end up being another Karnataka sort of situation?
I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic. I think we want to know exactly what the facts are before we take any action.
Right. So nothing further at this stage that you can really share with us. It's still a
developing story.
But you would be worried about it. I mean, we can establish the fact that they flowed from Madhya Pradesh.
No, it is a matter of great worry.
Right.
It is a matter of great worry that 17 people are somewhere else at this point in time and are destabilizing the government.
Well, I wanted to talk to you also about what a lot of people, or some people at least, would say this is a part of a lack of proper leadership within the Congress party. When Sonia Gandhi came back, it seemed to be an interim arrangement. But then where does Rahul Gandhi now stand? You've had some leaders, particularly after the Delhi elections, talking against each other. And now you have a Madhya Pradesh situation to deal with. So firm, strong leadership, where is that in the Congress?
Well, you know, at this point in time, we have no established leadership other than Mrs. Gandhi, who's always been a pillar of strength.
Yeah.
And I think that we've had disparate voices within the Congress make public comments. I don't want to add my voice to that. I don't think it will be fair and proper. I think the senior leadership of the party should come together, have an open, transparent, free discussion and see how to move forward.
But then how would you respond to those who say, and this is something which some Congress leaders, I think it was Shashi Tharoor, who may have mentioned that there is a perception that Rahul Gandhi is adrift. No one really knows in terms of leadership what to expect from him.
You know, the problem is that once leaders of parties start making public statements without really getting together and discussing the situation. Someone says that, look, let's do this. Somebody else says, let's do something else. And you ultimately hurt the Congress party in a big way.
Right.
And I think the leadership in the Congress should also realize that these are these voices who are expressing concern. And some steps should be taken. What those steps are, I think there should be collective leadership in deciding what those steps should be. Because otherwise all we'll end up doing is harm ourselves.
So what would you like?
I think that the top leadership would get together and have a free and frank discussion.
A lot of you have spoken about Priyanka Gandhi.
You see,
but she doesn't seem...
let's move away.
Is that an option?
Let's move away from all this. I think that once we start taking names, then you set up others saying something different. And that creates a bad odor within the political system and within the Congress party.
So Mrs. Gandhi has to put an end to that. Would you agree with that?
No, I think the stalwarts of the party should get together, because the issue is not just leadership. The issue is also organizational structures, decision-making processes, building leadership, bringing young people into the system, attracting young voters, reaching out to masses. Who is doing that at the moment?
You tell me. Is anybody doing that?
No, question. If we live in the comfort of our homes, and all of us do that, and then we start, giving sort of lectures from the pulpit, and, that's not the way political parties should function or can function, or leaders should function. I think what we need to do is assess the situation, and we know what the situation is. It doesn't require, much thinking as to what is needed.
Sure.
But we need to act on the ground.
Right.
And I think that we are failing in some way by not collectively discussing these issues and putting forward a game plan for the future.
And is that potential failure something which also...
I think I include myself in that.
Also something which affects opposition unity, and the latest example is that several opposition leaders, Mamata Banerjee being one of them, opposition parties, have written a letter in which they've said they've criticized the government and its handling of Kashmir. I believe the Congress party isn't in that.
I think...
this is one example.
We've been seeing that. We've been seeing that this element of unity should have in fact been created by all of us putting our minds together. I think Mamata ji, Sharad ji, and some other people are going in different directions. But we've asked for the release of the leaders in Kashmir.
Right.
I represent some of them. So I think the objective is the same, but I think the collectivity is missing. And I think that's bad for opposition.
Right. The Citizenship Amendment Act is obviously something which the Congress party has been very strong about in terms of your perspective. But then there are obviously counter perspectives which the BJP has shared. But, you know, there was an editorial by Harish Salve, very well-known lawyer, much like yourself, an eminent lawyer. And a couple of his quotes I just wanted you to react to. He said, and I quote, "The principle of equality does not mean that every law must have universal application." And a second quote, "The principle of equality does not take away from the state the power of making classifications." So essentially saying that, look, you know, I mean, if this is something which looks at the members of different faiths in different ways, so be it. The centre can do it.
I think that the issue is not just of classification. I think it's a far deeper issue which needs to be addressed. And Mr. Salve should answer that question. That question is the following. When the Constitution came into force in 1950, was citizenship granted on the basis of religion? The answer is no.
No.
Right? When the Citizenship Act came into force in 1956, was citizenship granted on the basis of religion? Answer is no. In the history of this country, no citizenship ever has been granted on the basis of religion. Why? Because secularism is a basic structure of the Constitution. You can't make religion the basis for grant of citizenship.
Right.
That happens only in theocratic states.
Right.
Right? That's number one. That's number one. If you are so concerned about a particular community, then you should also be concerned about that community being persecuted in Sri Lanka.
Right.
Communities persecuted in
Myanmar.
Myanmar. Right?
Yeah.
That's number two. And persecution too has no religion.
No.
If you say that this is on the basis of persecution, then all persecuted people should get equal rights.
But you know, he seems to counter that argument as well. And again, a quote of his. He says, classification on the basis of religion is not per se unconstitutional.
Who said that?
That's what Salve says.
No, who says?
Those are his words.
The court ever,
I'll just finish the
in
sentence.
any democratic country has this ever been stated?
It is worth reminding ourselves, and I'll let you reply to
please.
this. It is worth reminding ourselves that our Constitution confers special rights upon members of minority religious communities in India. If the law was broader and allowed members of all religious communities from Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan to migrate into India, we could as well do away with our borders.
Who said all this? I mean, I think this is a statement where not much thought has been given to when he wrote this, I'm sorry to say. The question is fundamental. First of all those people who came, remember the two very important aspects. Number one, when partition took place on the Western Front, those who came prior to 19th July 1948 were granted citizenship automatically if they were here for 6 months. Those who came after 1948, there was a process of certification.
Right.
But that didn't happen in East Pakistan.
No, it didn't.
Why didn't it happen in East Pakistan? Because the Congress party felt that because of the creation of East Pakistan, all Hindus were moving away. Right? And because of the creation of the Republic, all Hindus were moving away. So that procedure was not followed. So actually Hindus were invited. That's why the Assam Accord. That's why 25th July 1971. That's what now they have done away with the Assam Accord also. Done away completely with the Assam Accord. And all those people who came after 1971 never claimed that they were persecuted. So what is Mr. Salve talking about?
Okay.
And persecution is not the basis of the Citizenship Amendment Act.
No, it's not.
So all of these questions that he has raised, I'm answering before you.
Fair enough.
It is unfortunate. See, this is when happens when lawyers get into political modes. I don't think that we should be arguing this in the public. The matter is in court. It will be argued in court, and all legal submissions will be made.
The other issue which the Congress party has been trying very hard to debate in Parliament is the violence in Delhi. The government says that, look, it'll happen on the 11th. It'll happen in a few days after Holi. Now, in the interim period, 7 Congress MPs have been suspended. The BJP has pushed a move to try and have them disqualified. I don't think anybody would suggest that it's acceptable for papers to be snatched and things like that. But this particular move to try and have them disqualified, right?
It's shocking.
What is this indicator?
It's shocking, and I don't think that the government should move forward with it, because what it does is it increases the levels of bitterness.
Has it ever happened in this manner? that you're aware of? I mean, I don't think it's
not
ever
at all.
happened.
In fact, if I remember correctly, in the UPA time, somebody sort of sprayed. Somebody sprayed some mirchi, something that I remember.
Right.
At the time when our speaker didn't really go to this extent.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you must also understand that the government should have allowed a discussion, and the speaker should have allowed a discussion in the House on what has happened in Delhi. It's never happened before.
Right.
And why should the speaker of the House say we will have it after Holi? What's so special about having a discussion after Holi?
Yeah.
I think the level of bitterness within the polity is not good. It's really not good for the country.
Yeah.
And I think both government and opposition must realize that.
Yeah.
If they don't listen to the opposition, this is bound to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. We see both in the Rajya Sabha and in the Lok Sabha, the government not giving a damn to what we say.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
And then you have the transfer of Justice Muralidhar, somebody who was critical of the violence which, of the hate speeches which took place.
Not just the transfer, I think the manner of transfer. I mean, on the 12th of February, he had accepted the fact that the timing of transfer, the way that it was done, 11 o'clock at night. And these are, the signal that it sends is to the judiciary that if you don't play ball, this is what is going to happen to you.
So Ravi Shankar Prasad has actually tweeted a clarification on that. He says, transfer of Honorable Justice Muralidhar was done pursuant to the recommendation of the 12th of February of the Supreme Court Collegium headed by the Chief Justice. While transferring the judge, consent of the judge is taken. The well-settled process has been followed.
As I said to you, the issues of timing. Of course, the transfer was. But when has it ever happened in the past that when you're here, when the judge
invoked it at a convenient time?
When he's hearing a case and the matter is listed the following day, and it's not even listed before him, it's listed before the Chief Justice. At 11 o'clock at night, he said, this is your last working day.
Yeah. So speaking as a lawyer, what do lawyers tell you? What does the establishment tell you? I mean, when you see something like this taking place?
I think the lawyers as a community...
Your community is also bitterly divided, let's face it, along political lines in many instances.
No, I don't agree with
But
you.
as in
I
precedent.
don't agree. If you saw the kind of reception that...
Yes.
that Justice Muralidhar got, both here and in Punjab, you will realize that there's no politics as far as this is concerned in the bar.
Right. Last couple of questions actually. Rahul Gandhi had made a statement in Pulwama which was criticized, that the first anniversary of the Balakot attack happened recently. Today, as we remember 40 CRPF martyrs in the Pulwama attack, he asked who benefited the most from the attack. What is the outcome of the inquiry into the attack? Now, he said this, but in the last few days, there have been 5 people or so who've already been arrested. The government says they've found a link. Was it premature for Rahul to make these remarks? Who benefited the most? It was obviously suggesting that there was an ulterior motive for the attack.
The issue is again lack of transparency. This is what we are seeing in government all the time. You bring a bill in Parliament without informing Parliament. You term something as a money bill when it's not a money bill. Right? You take decisions without consulting anybody. Your foreign minister states, now we are getting to know who our friends are.
Right.
This kind of arrogance is not expected from a government which has a huge majority.
Right.
I think this is the lack of transparency. And what the Congress party has been asking is, you should be upfront with us what happened in Balakot and the consequences of that. Right. And you must be having evidence to show that.
Right.
You should show that.
Right.
And if you have arrested some people, that doesn't mean that
you've cracked the case.
Yes, you've tracked the case. All these things, as you know, are yet to be. The facts will emerge as the trial goes on.
Yeah.